Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And I think Nintendo just set a new standard, new expectations, and have completely flipped the perception of what a Nintendo Direct partner showcase can be. They absolutely blew it out of the water today with some huge reveals at their partner showcase, and well, what do you know? Atlas they finally grew a brain. Yeah, it's about time, right? But yes, we're going to go over the entire Direct later on in a video and talk about everything that was revealed and its best highlights. Of course, if you want, you can just skip straight to that part of the video. That's understandable, and that's why I do have those timestamps after all. However, for everybody else, we do have plenty of other things to talk about as well, including 6 games that's already been confirmed for Xbox Game Pass in the month of July, so make sure to stay tuned for all of that as well. With that said though, let's just go and jump right into things, starting off with the coveted Steam Deck. You know, I think that we kind of all understand by this point and just how frustrating this generation has been when it comes to purchasing new devices. Obviously, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, they have been very difficult to pick up, especially early on. The Nintendo Switch, that's also faced some problems throughout this generation, and really the same thing can be said with Valve and the Steam Deck. Now, I do like how they've handled things and how they've handled the pre-orders and everything, because right out of the gate, they just allowed fans to reserve a pre-order for $5. And then after that, you're put in a queue in which you wait until you get an opportunity to purchase it yourself. This has actually worked out for them pretty well, and I think that this is actually better than maybe how the Big Three has handled things. Though at the same time, the wait times, they still can be rather extensive. Some reservations go all the way into 2023, depending on when you got the reservation in. Well, the thing about that is, though, is that it now sounds like Valve is starting to ramp up production to meet those reservations even faster. You can actually check out their statement made here where they said, "Hello, some great news on the production front. We just sent the last batch of Q2 emails and will start sending Q3 reservation emails on the 30th. Production has picked up, and after today, we'll be shipping more than double the number of Steam Decks every week." So yeah, this is certainly great news for fans waiting to get their hands on a Steam Deck themselves, myself included actually. Funny story, or, well, actually probably unfortunate in this case, but I was originally in, I believe, the second wave of Steam Deck reservations. But, well, somehow I ended up missing my notification to complete the pre-order. I guess I just overlooked it or something, and I ended up having to make a completely new reservation. So with that in mind, it is very important that you do keep an eye on your email to complete your pre-order when they send that over your way. So definitely keep a lookout if you have a Steam Deck reserved. Your email will come directly from Steam. Moving on though, Xbox Games with Gold just announced their July lineup of games, and I mean, they're games, I can say that much. Whether you'll actually want to play these games or not, that's for a different story, but let's go and take a look at what you can download if you're subscribed to Xbox Live Gold or Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. July includes Beast of Maravilla Island, Relicta, Thrillville Off the Rails, and then last but not least, Torchlight. Now, I can actually say that Torchlight, that's actually a pretty decent game. Yeah, it's a little bit older by this point, but if you do like dungeon crawling RPGs such as Diablo, as an example, then Torchlight might be right up your alley. In fact, this is a game that came from the creators of Diablo, so there's some similarities between the two here, though Torchlight is still kind of its own thing as well. Overall, though, the Torchlight series is often viewed as one of the better games within the genre, so definitely don't sleep on this game. Now, I can't really say too much about the other 3 games here as I've not really played them myself personally, but I will say Relicta, based on what I've seen, I think it'll look somewhat interesting. It's this first-person physics-based puzzle type of game where you can play through the eyes of a scientist, and I do think that this one looks somewhat interesting. It actually apparently released back in 2020, so if you did miss out on this game before, you might want to give this one a try next month in July, again, if you're an Xbox Live Gold or a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber. Let's go and talk about that Nintendo Direct though, and as I said yesterday, don't overlook this Direct simply because it's a partner showcase. Yesterday, when they first announced this event, I saw a lot of disappointed fans out there, but as I pointed out in yesterday's video, there was a lot of big potential announcements that could possibly be made here. And well, what do you know? They did just that. They made some absolutely huge announcements here, and it even exceeded my expectations, really by far. It really was that good, and to just kind of think, this didn't even include first-party games. So, I mean, there's still more to come, but it really didn't have to include those first-party games to be a good showcase. But what we'll kind of do here today is we'll first kind of take a look at the big highlights, and that has to start with Atlus finally, yes, finally announcing Persona 3, Persona 4, and Persona 5 Royal for the Nintendo Switch. Yes, that's right, you didn't hear me wrong. All three of those games are coming over to the Nintendo Switch, including 5 Royal. That was really the big question on whether or not 5 Royal would be ported over to the Switch, because there was some speculation out there on whether or not the Nintendo Switch could actually handle this game. Well, there's your answer, and it will be out on October 21st alongside the PC, PlayStation, and of course, the Xbox version, which includes a Day 1 Xbox Game Pass release. So really, I would say that this is absolutely just monumental here. Fans have been screaming for the Persona franchise to go completely multi-platform because this is a franchise that really just has so much potential to grow. These are also all-time great JRPGs, and it really was just nonsensical to keep these games exclusive. Now, everybody can enjoy these great games, and you know the quote, when everyone plays, we all win? Well, I think that kind of fits this announcement just perfectly. I think Persona is kind of the embodiment of that quote. I mean, it was huge earlier this month when they first announced it for Xbox. But as I've said time and time again, Switch was always the perfect device for Persona. In my opinion, even more so than even PlayStation. Now, some of you all might disagree with that, and okay, that's fair and everything. But to me, these games, they feel better on a handheld console. That's how I played all of the Persona games before Persona 5. Really all on the PlayStation Vita. So I'm very happy to see Persona go back to a handheld device once again, where it's that pick up and play type of experience, especially considering Persona 5 Royal. I mean, this is a ridiculous 100 plus hour long game. Also, you have to factor in the fact that the Switch is absolutely dominating Japan to an absurd degree. So again, Persona plus Japan and the Switch equals a lot of success. Atlus, you're going to probably figure that out soon enough, but I'm really just so happy about all this. This narrative feels like it's been in the making for such a long time, and now, from this point forward, let's just kind of hope that Persona 6 will be multi-platform right out of the gate. However, of course, there were still some other big announcements made here as well. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope got a new gameplay trailer and a release date. Funny enough, Ubisoft actually leaked the release date last night before the showcase. Ubisoft seems to have a legitimate problem with leaks before events. I don't know what it is about them, but nonetheless, it is set to release on October 20th, and you can pre-order today. As for the gameplay though, they really emphasized its free movement in its turn-based combat. I think I'm going to need to test that out for myself, but I think that it makes sense considering it combines the heritage of Mario with that XCOM formula even more so. You know, Mario is a platformer after all, and based on the gameplay trailer they showed here, I got that sense that the Mario franchise will be even more ingrained into this wacky universe. Another really good Japanese port was announced as well, and this was a big surprise. I actually saw this leak out yesterday, but I didn't really pay much attention to it because I didn't know the source or their reputation, and I didn't know if it was really all that believable, but I mean, I guess it was true after all. NieR Automata is coming to the Switch on October 6th. Now, if you've watched the channel for a meaningful amount of time, there's a good chance that you probably know how I feel about these games. I do genuinely believe that NieR Automata is a flat-out masterpiece, and it's one of my favorite games from last generation. The atmosphere is amazing. The music is some of the best in video game history, it's a lot of fun to play, and it's got a beautiful story on top of that. So, if you haven't played this game already, and if you have a Nintendo Switch, put this game on your wish list. Really, the only question about this game is how will it run. If it does have solid performance though, NieR Automata is a must-play experience. I could also really say the same thing about NieR Replicant, so with Automata on the Switch, I do kind of hope that they port Replicant as well, but that's for a different day. Now, there was also various beloved IP that showed up at this showcase, including Pac-Man World Re-Pac, which is actually a remake of the old PlayStation 1 classic that released back in 1999. I was not expecting this one at all, but this is just yet another example of 3D platformers making a comeback, and I'm all for that. Pac-Man World Re-Pac will release on August 26 for PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and the Nintendo Switch. The return of Monkey Island also got its big gameplay reveal here as well, and is now slated to release later this year, though I have seen some mixed reactions regarding its art style. It's certainly unique, to say the least, and I mean, I can see why fans are a little split here, but at the end of the day, when all is said and done, I still expect this to be a good game. It is being handled by Ron Gilbert after all, and he does a great job on point-and-click adventures, so keep an eye out for this one as it releases later this year. Portal 1 and 2 is also heading over to the Switch. Actually, strike that because, well, they're available today. That's right, you can download Portal Companion Collection right now, and seriously, these are some of the most unique and influential puzzle games ever. Again, if these are games that you haven't already played already, first off, you should probably question yourself because these are amazing games, but yeah, just go ahead and download them as soon as possible. Then Dragon Quest Treasures got a gameplay reveal, which looks pretty decent. I'm not really necessarily so sure about the loot mechanic, as I'm not really big into that type of stuff myself, but I think Dragon Quest fans will be pretty happy with this game. It's an action RPG type of game, and there's a monster capturing mechanic, and I think that it looks like decent fun and will release on December 9th. Square Enix also announced another game here that I think looks like it could be a big hit if executed properly, and that is Harvestella. This was like a combination of something like Final Fantasy with magic-based combat, and then it's also centered around farming. It does sound like a rather interesting combination on paper, and if both aspects actually turn out to be fun, then Harvestella could be something to pay attention to when it releases on November 4th. That was, for the most part, though, some of the games that really stood out to me the most, but let's kind of go ahead and list off some of the other games that was here alongside their release dates if they do have any. This includes Lorelei and the Laser Eyes coming in 2023, Super Bomberman R2 for 2023, then Mega Man fans, you all will definitely be very happy as they announce the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, which includes 10 spin-off games that were originally made for Game Boy Advance. Then Blanc, which was this artistic, independent style of game, it was announced for February of 2023. Little Noah, Scion of Paradise, which is developed by Cygames, can be downloaded right now. Railraid comes to the Switch this fall. RPG Time, The Legend of Right was announced for the Switch and will release on August 28th. That's actually a game that I've been keeping an eye on. It was actually previously announced for Xbox. Really cool to see this one come over to the Switch, as I do think that it looks rather interesting. But moving on, Sonic Frontiers got a new gameplay reveal, including some classic-looking zones, which was pretty cool to see. Disney Dreamlight Valley got a release date being September 6th. Live Alive has a new demo available, which will be nice to play as we are heading into the release of that game next month. Doraemon Story of Seasons is getting a sequel this year. Then Minecraft Legends, funnily enough, got more gameplay on the Switch than what it did at the Xbox Bethesda Showcase, even though that is a first-party Xbox game. No Man's Sky, as we talked about in a previous video, has been delayed to October 6th. A Plague Tale Requiem, that will be getting a Switch version playable through the cloud only. Then Captain Velvet Meteor is releasing next month on July 28th. And I think that's it. It really was just a great showcase, though I'll kind of talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video alongside the poll question where I asked you all how you felt about this showcase. First, though, we do have one last thing to talk about, which is Xbox Game Pass for the month of July. Yeah, Game Pass for July is already starting to fill out with yet another release date, bringing up the total to 6 new games dropping into Game Pass for the month. Of course, this is not the entire lineup just yet, but let's go take a look at the 6 games that's already been confirmed, including Far Cry 5, which is coming on July 1st, Last Call BBS releases on July 5th, then on the 7th, you'll be able to play Matchpoint Tennis Championships. On July 14th, you have Escape Academy. On July 19th, you'll get As Dusk Falls, and last but not least, Immortality will drop on July 26th. Again, this isn't the entire lineup, and I'll keep you updated as we get more of those games throughout next month, but I think that there's already a few games here that kind of stands out. Obviously, for those looking to play big AAA games, Far Cry 5, that's a pretty good pickup. Yes, it's a little older now and everything, but it's still a good game and one of the better open world games that you can play even today. The three that I'm more interested in, though, are the day one releases coming later in July, being Escape Academy, As Dusk Falls, and then Immortality. I do think that all three of these games, they do have some interesting ideas. Escape Academy, this is actually a puzzle game where you try to figure out how to escape rooms, and the cool part here is that it is a cooperative game, which is always really cool to see when it comes to puzzle games. Based on the things that we've seen so far, I think that it looks clever and something that I'm interested in trying myself with my family, as I do believe that this one does have local co-op as well. Then as for Dusk Falls, this is actually another cooperative game, but this is a striking game with its art style. This is more one of those interactive visual novels per se, so it's not necessarily going to be a game for absolutely everybody, but it is an interactive drama that explores the lives of two families across 30 years. I believe the developers at one point in time actually said that one of their inspirations for this game was Breaking Bad, which I'm a huge fan of that show, so if that's the case, I'm all in for As Dusk Falls. At the very least, it definitely looks unique, and really I can kind of say the same thing about Immortality. This is another FMV game coming from Sam Barlow, which made similar games like Her Story and Telling Lies. In this one, though, you'll be investigating different films from movie making and then tracking an actress who's gone missing. It could end up being a fascinating mystery style of game when it launches directly into Game Pass day one on July 26. And really, that right there is what I've always loved about Game Pass. There's just so many of these day one releases. I mean, we're talking about 3 different day one releases here, and not only does this type of thing save you a ton of money, hence why a lot of people think that this is the best deal in all of gaming, but it also allows you to explore games like these with their unique ideas. I might have missed these games otherwise, but thanks to them coming over to Game Pass, they're definitely on my radar now, and hopefully they're on yours as well. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, and back to the Nintendo Direct, because I asked you all, what letter grade would you give the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase 6.28.2022? And just as I thought, most of you all were pretty happy, with 42% of you giving it a B, while 12% of you gave it an A. 26% of you, though, did give it a C, 8% a D, and then 12% of you gave it an F. I really don't know what you all were expecting giving it an F, but I'm with the majority here. This is one of those rare showcases that I'm going to give an A, because there were some really exciting announcements made here, most notably games like Persona and others like NieR Automata alongside Mario plus Rabbids. But really, I thought that this was just a great third-party showcase. And when you start to really think about that, it kind of puts things into perspective that there's still more to come. Nintendo still has some first-party games to announce at a later date. So I'd say, if anything, this was probably Nintendo's best partner showcase, and I think that it did set a new standard for them. All future third-party showcases will have to be measured to this. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.